Hey people, what's up? My name is Hart. Today I'm going to make some chill, deep, lo-fi inspired house. You can see how many adjectives I can put in front of that. And we're going to do some sound design, we're going to use some samples, and hopefully make something kind of groovy. So if you're into that type of thing, please remember to like, subscribe, and let's do it. All right, so I'm going to set my BPM at like 118, so it's a little bit more on the chill side. And let's go ahead and just get that going. And that is the technical term for it. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-M to add a MIDI clip here for this kick. Change this to quarter notes and just put a kick on every quarter note for that 4 on the floor pattern. Let's just set this to repeat for now. And I'm going to do the same thing here and add my hats. And that's going to be on every other 8th note, so the offbeat. Just to get that starting groove going. And then these hats, I'm going to sidechain to that kick. Just a little bit. EQ out the bottom that we don't need there. All right, next I want to grab this loop that I found on Loop Cloud. And I'm going to drag this here and just drop it on a MIDI track. And it's going to load a sampler for me. And I actually want to change this to a sampler. And I don't really want to use just the chords that it has in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to loop this. So I'm going to change the sustain mode to the back and forth. And I'm going to just pick this first note that's kind of sustaining here. Drag these brackets in. And you can hear it popping every time it hits. So I'm going to go over to this crossfade option and drag this up just a little bit. And I'm just going to draw in a couple chords that sound nice. And it says it's in F, but we're going to have to figure that out after we actually put the MIDI notes in, because it's going to change what chord it's playing. So that's a little too fast. So let's go ahead and actually double this. So I'm just going to select them all, times 2, and then we'll just drag this so it's 8 bars long instead of 4. So I'm just going to change our loop to be 8 bars now. Drag that out. Get that nice pumping from the kick. Okay, that sounds pretty good. And now the next fun thing is figuring out what key this is actually in now. And if we just listen to this sample that's playing, I'm just going to solo this in my piano. And what I want to do is I want to find a note that sounds like it's the most harmonious with this. So let's see, let's just go up the scale here. If I just loop this first chord we have here. C doesn't sound good. No. That sounds good. So that's a B flat. Let's go to the second one. Okay, so that sounds like an F to me. And then what's this last one? And that sounds like A flat. So what I'm thinking, since we're starting on the B flat, is this is probably B flat minor. So I want to go ahead and add some like kind of plucky chords to complement this kind of sustained pad. All right, so I think I actually want to use this preset, and I'm just going to dial this in to be more of like a plucky sound instead of a keys sound. So I'm going to drag this down the sustain and make it more of a pluck. And I also want that filter to have a little bit more movement, so I'm actually going to not that much. All right, and let's go ahead and draw in a little pattern to kind of complement the pad that we have here. And let's just change this. So it's showing an A sharp, which is just going to be confusing to me. So I'm going to right click on the keys here and change root note to B flat. So now we know we're in B flat. So let's go ahead and draw just a B flat minor chord for now. And let's make it like that. Da, da. Okay, that sounds nice. Let's go ahead and make them a little bit more interesting. I'm going to take, actually, yeah, let's take all of the thirds up an octave. So I'm just going to take the middle note, which is the third of the chord, hold shift and up, and that's going to take them all up an octave. And let's go one step further and maybe add some, like even just a little bit of a melody on the top here. So let's see. Have that come down to the E. And I'm just kind of just going by ear here. Getting a little bit of tension with these two notes closer together. Making just a little bit more melodic. Nice. I also want to give these chords, these little plucks, a little bit more movement. So I'm going to come over here to my delay return channel, start sending this and fix it a little bit. And then we're going to send some of these to a reverb as well. And I just have Valhalla Vintage. You can use the stock Ableton as well. It's just kind of a room reverb. Pretty short decay. All right, let's finish kind of fleshing out some of these drums. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple claps and layer those. All right, so I've got these two claps. So this one and this one. And go ahead and group those together. Compressor, maybe a little bit of saturation as well. And then I'm going to drop a compressor on there as well and sidechain it. All right, let's add some extra percussion. So I'm going to use this loop here, but I don't want to use the whole thing. So let's see. So I'm going to cut out like those kind of harsher hits, and I'm just going to take like that kind of shaker shuffle. So maybe just this section right here. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Control E to cut it out. Sidechain it. And I think I want to actually add, let's put an echo on there. And let's unlink these, maybe. Wet dry way down. And I'm actually going to set up another return track with a larger decay time. So I'm just going to hold control and drag that one over. And I'm going to make this one maybe like that. And let's send it to that one and see how it sounds. Yeah, that's nice. It really just pushes that to the background. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make like an FM style bass with operator. And I want to make like kind of a shorter, pluckier bass because I want a funky bass line. So I'm just going to start with this sine wave here. I'm going to bring this up so I can actually hear it. Bring the decay somewhere around like there. Leave the release there. And I'm going to leave this set like this so it's actually in FM mode, which means that this next oscillator that I'm going to turn on isn't actually going to play in unison with it. It's actually going to modulate the sound of this waveform. So I'm going to make this the same envelope pretty much as the first sine wave. And And you get different kind of sounds by changing this coarse pitch. And then what I want to do is turn on this pitch envelope as well. It sounds like a laser right now because it's too much. This is kind of how you make an 808 as well. And so I'm going to take this decay time. And then this filter, I'm going to leave it 24. Change it to clean to maybe MS2. And I'm going to use this envelope to actually change how this filter, the frequency on the filter opens. So let's change it to maybe somewhere around there. And this is going to be more of like the top bass, kind of the higher version of it. I'm going to add a sub bass afterwards to kind of fill in those lower frequencies. And I'm actually going to just record in kind of a funky bass line. And let's go ahead and duplicate that. And I'm going to turn off this second oscillator here on this one. And I'm just going to rename this sub bass. And I'm going to go ahead and EQ these to be opposites. So this one, the sub bass, I'm going to add a low pass on it. And this one, I'm going to add a high pass. Let's go ahead and group those together. And I'm just going to use some glue compression to kind of glue them together a little bit. And I'm just using a little bit slower attack, just so it's letting that initial kind of like 808 hit through. Right, the last thing I want to do is create kind of like a glassy pluck for like an ARP or kind of like a lead instrument. So I'm going to use Ableton's Wavetable, and I'm going to start with the sine wave. I'm going to drag it up just a little bit. So it's kind of in between a sine and a triangle. Bring it up maybe 12. And make this more of like a pluck. So I'm going to drag the attack back a little bit and drag the decay. Change the release. Drag the filter back. And I'm going to come over to the matrix here and assign that same envelope that we just created for the plucky sound and assign that to the filter one, the frequency here. So it's just going to kind of open and close very quickly. And then I'm going to grab a redux again and change the filter to pre. Start dragging this down. And I'm also going to send that to the same delay that the plucked chords are going to, which I think is this one. All right, last thing I want to do real quick is throw in like some sort of like R&B or jazzy vocal. Deep House has a lot of kind of like more soulful vocals. So I'm just going to go on Splice real quick and find something that sounds good. All right, so we've got a really short intro to start here. Most Deep House tracks have a lot longer intro than this, but this is for the sake of YouTube. So just that pad and the kick. And we drop in with the bass and the hi-hat. A little cymbal crash there. And I chopped out just a section of this vocal here. Claps and that percussion in the background. I can share my love with you. No one knows you when life gets hard. You are all I know, darling. Such good groove. I can blame myself to you. We bring in those chords that we made. I can blame myself to you. And then on the drum bus, I actually have an auto filter here. Kind of suck all the energy out and drop that kind of glassy lead that we made. All right, that's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed, please remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.